What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my Friday Night SmackDown audio review for March 3rd, 2023. I am Graham G.S. Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well and having a great weekend so far. We got a pretty good edition of SmackDown on Friday. I thought this was an overall very enjoyable episode, complete with a Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes confrontation at the beginning of the show. Great stuff. And that wasn't the peak either. I would typically expect, and the Blue brand is usually better than Raw. Raw the past couple of weeks has not been great. I thoroughly enjoyed Raw on the road to Elimination Chamber coming out of the Royal Rumble. For whatever reason, the last two Raws have not been overly lively, exciting, newsworthy. They are stacking Monday's show, which is great, in Boston. I will not be there. But I am looking forward to Raw on Monday. SmackDown has been the better brand lately, and this wasn't just all about the Bloodline stuff. I have said in recent weeks, it's the Bloodline show, and the show is better. You know, the show is solely better than Raw because of the Bloodline. The Bloodline did play a big part of the show in the opening segment, the main event. But we did get some good stuff sprinkled throughout the 2 hours that made it an overall very enjoyable experience to watch. So let's waste no time. Let's get right into it here. Like I said, opening the show with what we all came to see, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, finally going face-to-face. Now, the match was made official for WrestleMania with the potential, possibility of it changing with Sami Zayn maybe beating Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber, which thankfully did not happen. But beyond that, though, Roman and Cody has been set in stone for Mania since the Royal Rumble. A little over a month ago when Cody Rhodes won the men's Royal Rumble match, earned his opportunity to face Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania. So here we are, they finally go face-to-face, and it was well worth the wait. There was a lot of back and talk about Dusty Rhodes. Almost the entire exchange was about Dusty Rhodes, and I'm not one of those people that's really bothered by that. I can understand they're relying too much on Dusty, it's not about Dusty, whatever. I mean, it is, because that's a big part of Cody Rhodes' story and his redemption arc and wanting to win the championship for his father. Not every promo exchange from here on out has to do with Dusty Rhodes. This one being about Dusty and Dusty playing a big part in it didn't bother me because it made sense. The last time we heard Cody and Paul kind of go back and forth, maybe not the last time, the time before the last time, that amazing face-to-face they had about a month ago on Raw, the week after Royal Rumble, rather. That was tremendous stuff. And in that exchange, Cody and Dusty's back from the dead. Cody and Paul going back and forth about Dusty and Roman Reigns' relationship with Dusty in NXT. So they talked a lot about that here, complete with a Roman Reigns impersonation of an impression of the American Dream. Cody Rhodes getting passionate. I thought the whole thing was great. I thought both guys really delivered strong promos here. Who won the battle? I could see the victory going to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns, his part of the exchange, and Cody got the last word in, by the way. But Roman Reigns, the way he kind of slandered Cody and said that great last line, Roman Reigns and Paul and even Cody really know how to hammer it home with a fantastic final line. And he got that in here. Cody got the last word. I forgot what he said exactly. But Roman Reigns said, whatever your dad didn't teach you, I will. Which that was an amazing line. But this was really, really good stuff. If you weren't already excited for Roman and Cody at WrestleMania before last night, first of all, I'm not sure how you couldn't be. Second of all, I'm not sure how you can't be coming out of this exchange last night. This was really, really good stuff. And what gets me excited as well is that we have a month to go until WrestleMania. I don't think the program peaked here. I think there's a lot more ground they can cover. Cody Rhodes even brought up the All In pay-per-view. Didn't mention All In, didn't mention the Elite, but he mentioned how he's constantly overcome various obstacles, even putting together a 10,000-person arena not stadium show, but an arena show with just him and his little indie buddies. Didn't mention the Elite, didn't mention All In by name, but I thought that was really fucking cool because it is a big part of his story. The fact that he left, bet on himself, and came back. He has indeed accomplished everything he has set out to do, except win the World Championship and beat Roman Reigns. The seemingly impossible. So the story is there. They're making it personal. It's not just about Cody Rhodes wanting to win a wrestling championship, which is a big part of it as well. People are saying, the Sami feud is much more personal. Yeah, it was, because they were feuding for almost a year. But the Cody Rhodes feud is not personal. And with Cody with Sami Zayn, he didn't want to win the championship until fucking 2 weeks before the pay-per-view. With Cody Rhodes, that is what his sights have been set on since the day he came back to the company a year ago. It's about the championship. It should be about the championship, and they're sprinkling in little personal anecdotes as well. So I thought all of this was tremendous, and I'm hoping we get more back and forths between the two between now and WrestleMania, including on Raw, not just on SmackDown. But this alone made SmackDown feel like the A show if it didn't already. SmackDown has been the better brand for a while now. Not that Raw has been awful, but it's been very inconsistent. They had a great stretch of shows, like I said, coming out of the Rumble, going into Elimination Chamber, and before that it was kind of eh. Currently it's kind of going into Monday's Raw, which hopefully will be a big show in Boston. They need to do more to really heat up the road to WrestleMania, and this was a big way of doing that. And I thought they succeeded tremendously so. The first match in the show, Rhea Ripley taking on her former tag team partner, Liv Morgan, the former Liv for Brutality tag team. They work really well together, both as partners and now as opponents. They had a pair of matches on Raw last year. That chemistry carried over into this matchup as well. Really fun stuff. Liv Morgan looking good in defeat. Got a decent amount of time here. Liv Morgan just does nothing but lose nowadays. She lost in that 6-woman tag team match on Raw, right before Elimination Chamber. She lost to Asuka on the SmackDown before Elimination Chamber. She was one of the first ones gone inside the Elimination Chamber, despite having a good showing, and then she lost again here. I'm not saying she should have won any of those matches for the most part, but it is kind of unfortunate she's right back to the same spot that she was in previously as the stepping stone of the SmackDown Women's Division. And she's still quite popular. She didn't get a great reaction here, but on most shows she does. She's over, and I don't know. The thing is, and I've mentioned this before without going on too much of a tangent, with Liv Morgan, and not just with Liv, but a lot of the women's division, it's either you're in the title picture and you're important, and if you're not important. And we've seen the exception to that lately with Becky and Bayley these last couple of months because they're big enough stars. I'm not saying Liv will ever be on the level of, a Bayley or a Becky, but they don't really give people like her an opportunity to do that. Because I feel like the 4 horsewomen can kind of get away with being in feuds that aren't over the championship, aside from Charlotte. I mean, I guess Charlotte can, they just choose not to. But with people like Liv and other women like that, they just don't have a lot of opportunities to do anything interesting outside of the title picture. And that's currently the problem with Liv Morgan. And when I say title picture, I'm including the tag team title stuff too. The tag titles mean absolutely fucking nothing at this point. But if Liv's not going for a main championship, she's finding a random partner to team up with at WrestleMania. They're probably going to do her and Raquel Rodriguez. It would get them on the card. That's nice and all. But I want some more creativity in original content, like original feuds and actual storylines in the women's division that don't revolve around a championship. I know, what a concept. The next match in the show saw Dominik Mysterio take on Santos Escobar, who was kind of quietly turning face. And what I really, really like about this, I love Legado. I think Santos is a star. He hasn't exactly caught on yet as a heel on the SmackDown roster. I think aligning with Rey, going babyface for now, before ultimately turning on him at some point, whether it be at WrestleMania, Backlash, after Mania, whatever it might be. You can get a match out of Santos and Rey teaming up against Dominik and Damian, and then maybe Rey and Santos lose, or Santos turns on Rey during the match. And that's when you can turn him back heel. We haven't seen the rest of Legado since this whole angle started with Rey, which is fine. As long as the idea is that Santos will go back to being a heel eventually, they'll come back into the picture and start feuding with Rey from when the Dominik and Rey rivalry is over. That's what I would like to see. And I feel like their way of kind of segueing and incorporating Santos in there is really smooth and well done. I thought this was good stuff. Dominik continues to improve. His matches are better. As a character, he's improved tenfold. He's very entertaining at this point. And he won here with the help of Rhea Ripley, who hit a riptide on Santos at ringside, which it's impressive, but the thing was, what's impressive about it is that it's not impressive, and that she does it so frequently now. She did it to fucking Luke Gallows a couple of months ago. We've just come to expect that from Rhea Ripley, because she is just fucking fantastic. So yeah, it's impressive, but that's not to say, it's not like I wouldn't expect that from her. No, I expect that from her at this point, which is why it's not impressive. It's just really fucking cool. They have her doing that stuff on the regular now, so I like that. The next segment of the show saw Drew McIntyre out there talking about wanting an opportunity at the Intercontinental Championship. He was interrupted not by Gunther, but rather by Sheamus, and I like this a lot. Because I talked about this last week. I've said this ad nauseum in the last couple of weeks, months. The Intercontinental Championship match at WrestleMania has gotta be Drew, Sheamus, and Gunther in a triple threat. It just has to be. I've said this for weeks, months now. It just makes the most sense. You can't have a WrestleMania match for the Intercontinental Championship that does not involve Sheamus. McIntyre and Sheamus have been teaming for a reason on SmackDown, not just to keep them busy, for the last couple of months, which is why they were feuding with the Raiders for as long as they were, but to establish that they're buddies, so it means more when they face each other at WrestleMania in the same match as Gunther. Preferably I would want Gunther and Sheamus one-on-one, because Sheamus finally beating Gunther one-on-one would really be the prize there. That's fine. Drew needs a Mania match, and I was thinking, and I said this last week, who else can he face in Mania if it's not Gunther? Him and LA Knight's a possibility, but, they have history dating back to Impact many years ago, not that they would mention that. That's kind of a random rivalry out of nowhere. Drew, Sheamus, and Gunther, they were fucking interacting in the Royal Rumble a couple of months ago. It just makes the most sense. So what worries me, what made me hopeful was that Sheamus brought that out here. He came out here and brought that up about how he's always wanted the Intercontinental Championship. Why wouldn't you discuss it with me first, that you're out here challenging for the championship? And Drew said, well, I don't have to run everything by you. And they kind of went back and forth. LA Knight comes out, and I love LA Knight. He got a great reaction, too. The guy lost to Kofi Kingston last week, and now we kind of know why. Because they wanted to establish that Kofi could want a shot at the championship as well, which he won't. In the 5-way they announced for next week, the only person who does not have a shot in fucking hell of winning that match is Kofi Kingston. He's probably in there to take the fall, to be honest. But LA Knight came out, Kofi Kingston came out with Xavier, and Karrion Kross was out there as well. So Karrion being in there isn't exactly random. He did beat Rey Mysterio last week, so everyone in the match kind of has a reason to be in there. LA Knight was feuding with, he lost to Kofi. He didn't exactly pick. He hasn't won a match in a while, so him being out there was a little weird, but he's great, so I'm not complaining. But anyway, so they all brawled. I think it was Karrion Kross who stood tall, setting up a fatal 5-way for next week. I believe with the winner getting the Intercontinental Championship match at WrestleMania. I don't know if they explicitly said that. It could be an option, or it could be a scenario where the winner gets a shot on TV, and that's where we get Drew and Gunther one-on-one, and then somehow that sets up Sheamus, Drew, and Gunther for Mania, however way you get there. I'm hoping for a scenario next week where if the winner is facing Gunther at WrestleMania, then they have Drew and Sheamus somehow get dueling pins. It is a fatal 5-way, so Drew can pin Kofi, and Sheamus can pin LA Knight or Karrion or whatever. Karrion at this point, I love the guy, but he just doesn't have a lot going for him at the moment, so it doesn't really matter. But, so they could do something along those lines, and I'd be perfectly fine with it. So hopefully that's the end game. Sheamus not being involved in that match in Mania would be a crime. I'm kind of leaning towards they're probably just going to have Drew win, but I don't think they can have Sheamus bring up what he did here and then not have him be factored into the match at WrestleMania. Drew and Gunther, I feel like, is the weakest of the three options. It should be a great match, and it's a fresh match, but I would prefer a triple threat or a one-on-one with Sheamus and Gunther over Drew and Gunther, because the story is with Sheamus. Sheamus has to factor in some form or fashion, and not just by interfering either. Shayna Baszler took on Tegan Nox, so it was supposed to be Ronda Rousey. I don't know if they actually advertised that matchup, but they went back and forth last week, and Ronda had that dumb fucking line about, taste the rainbow Skittles, or something stupid like that. Ronda Rousey's just, on the mic, she's awful. She's just not good at all. And so I think she was supposed to face Tegan here. They shot an angle where Ronda Rousey was attacked in the back. Or they brawled in the back and she got hurt. So she came out with her arm in a sling here. I believe she is legitimately hurt. I don't know, it was PW Insider. I'm not sure the source exactly, but it was reported earlier today, late last night, that I think the belief is that she will still be good to go for WrestleMania, but they're not 100% sure. She just simply re-aggravated an injury she already had, so that's not good. I won't say that I'll shed a tear if she's not cleared for Mania. I really don't care one way or the other. That's really how little Ronda Rousey means at this point. But regardless, as far as this show is concerned, Shayna Baszler took her place. She faced Tegan. The match went 2 fucking minutes. She beat her, and that was it. This was very disappointing. Not that I was expecting a competitive match. People don't give a shit about Shayna right now. People don't care. They care even less about Tegan Nox. The fact that they came out to their partner's music was so fucking dumb. Now, I know they do that because Ronda is more established than Shayna, and Natalya is more established than Tegan, but you need the fans to get familiar with who these women are on their own without fucking Natalya and Ronda Rousey's music. I thought that was so dumb. The match was a total afterthought. Tegan just has nothing going for her right now. I love Tegan. I want to see her get more TV time and get more wins and stuff. They just brought in so many new women at once. None of them are over. None of them are over. We haven't seen Lacey Evans on the show in a week or two. I'm not complaining. She's fucking terrible. Her social media activity makes her even less likable, and she's supposed to be a heel anyway. I get it, but regardless, I wouldn't give two shits if they never brought her back on the show. That shit ain't working either. I'm glad Shayna's winning matches, but I just don't like the fact it came at the expense of Tegan Nox. Bobby Lashley came out next, and he was looking for a fight with Bray Wyatt. We don't even know why the fuck this match is happening, aside from the fact that reportedly Brock did not want to face Bray Wyatt. Good on him. And now Bobby Lashley is forced to get the match instead. Poor Bobby. So Bobby's out here going after Bray Wyatt. Again, why? We don't fucking know. And he didn't get Bray Wyatt. Instead, he got Uncle Howdy. The lights went out. Uncle Howdy shows up, or his music went off. I don't know. Bobby Lashley laid him out with a spine buster. And then before he could spear him, the light goes out. Uncle Howdy's gone. And that was the end of the segment. This was fucking dumb. There is nothing interesting about this feud. There is nothing interesting currently about Bray Wyatt. They've dragged this shit on for so fucking long that I just don't care. This was lame. Less said about it, the better. We move on to the main event here. Solo Sikoa taking on Sami Zayn, a match made official earlier in the day on social media. This was good stuff. I love the dynamic with the dominant heel, undefeated Solo Sikoa taking on the plucky underdog babyface Sami Zayn. Enjoyable stuff here. Jimmy Uso factoring into the match, costing Sami Zayn the win here. So Sami Zayn falling victim to the numbers game. I thought Sami might win by DQ, because Solo lost to Kevin Owens, I think, by DQ on SmackDown right before the Rumble a couple of weeks ago. They're actually running back Owens and Solo Sikoa on Monday's Raw. So I thought they might do the same thing here. I'm actually kind of happy they didn't. Sami Zayn can lose and it's completely fine. The guy's over enough and he's okay. Don't worry. Solo winning here is perfectly fine. Sami stood tall anyway afterward by laying out Solo and Jimmy, or really just running off really before Solo could go after him. No save from Kevin Owens, no Jey Uso, no Roman Reigns. So Roman did say earlier in the episode that if Jimmy can't get Jey to show up next week, it's going to be Jey Uso, or rather Jimmy Uso, paying the price. And he'll suffer the consequences. So I love that's a great hook for next week. They're advertising a lot of stuff for next week. That Fatal 5-Way, the promise, or kind of the threat really, from Roman Reigns about Jimmy and Jey Uso. Everything on Raw, from Logan Paul showing up to confront Seth Rollins, John Cena returning. We actually saw, it was on the SmackDown Lowdown, I'll get to it momentarily here on the channel, Sami Zayn got called out, or rather called out Jimmy Uso for a match on Monday's Raw, so that's happening as well. Kevin Owens, Solo Sikoa. Big week of WWE TV next week. And I thought this was a good ending to the show, an overall very enjoyable episode, one of the better Blue Brand episodes in recent weeks. And I look forward to what else they can come up with on the road to WrestleMania. So make time, if you haven't already, to check out the Roman and Cody confrontation. But really the rest of the show, aside from Tegan and Shayna, was disappointing. And the Lashley Uncle Howdy shit was just lame as fuck. Thankfully that stuff was kept short and sweet. And the good far outweighed the bad on this show. So 2 thumbs up for SmackDown on Friday. Thank you guys for checking out my review. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Like I said earlier, SmackDown Lowdown review coming on a little bit later today here on the channel. More interviews dropping. We had an interview with Vinny Pacifico, independent wrestling standout, on Friday in video form, also in audio form on WrestleRant Radio on Thursday. My interviews with Diamond Dallas Page and Jake Roberts both dropped last Sunday and Monday, respectively. So check those out if you haven't already. And plenty more interviews coming here to the channel, and much more content as we approach and as we continue on the road to WrestleMania. Have an awesome one, guys. Enjoy your weekend. I'm Graham G. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.